Welcome to the final moments of the event they said could never happen. This is Jimmy Olsen, and if you're just tuning in, gee whiz, where the heck have you been? Let's look at the highlights of the greatest event in the history of any sport ever played, any place ever. The Justice League International versus the Legion of Doom. The JLI took an early lead due to heavy hitters Superman and Wonder Woman. We just got word that Soup's first hit passed the Moon Titan. Luthor looked like an easy strikeout, but had a surprise up his sleeve. Joker hit a foul ball. Ugh, literally. He turned it into the tying run. Which brings us to the bottom of the ninth. Heroes coming up to the plate with the villains leading by 3. Should be an exciting finish.
I know it's not looking good right now, but those stands are full of people. Kids like little Julie Schwartz and Frankie Miller from Gotham City, who are depending on us to show that even in baseball, good always triumphs over evil. So let's go out there and give it our all.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mark Tiberius Lemke, Chicago Blackhawks fan. This is episode 143, and as always, this podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, and you can help support the Batman Universe by heading over to patreon.com/thebatmanuniverse. Dane, we're back together again.
Finally.
I know.
It's been like a month and a half, Tim.
Something like that, I know. The last time you couldn't make it, so I want to thank Jake for filling in on our last episode. It was a lot of fun to have him on and talk Justice League, Batman versus Superman, Dark Knight Rises, 20 years of the new Batman adventures, Wonder Woman, all that good stuff. So thank you, Jake.
So how do you know him? Just from Twitter?
Just through Twitter. We kind of have a mutual friend and then started following each other because of that. And, finding out we had similar interests and really kicking it or hitting it off this last month or so with our love of the Foo Fighters, their new record. So just more stuff to geek out over. So it was cool to have them on that one. So thank you, Jake. But unfortunately, the 2 weeks after that, I was busy and couldn't make it. I was busy helping with some family stuff, with moving and then having some family visit from out of town. So was busy for our last one and couldn't make it. But we're back now, and we're going to be playing some catch up. But I got to say, Dane, fair warning for everyone, I'm a nervous wreck right now.
Why is
we're
that,
about
Tim?
2 hours away from a Game 7 of the ALCS between the Yankees and the Astros. And the Yankees had it's been a great series. Astros were up 2-0. Yankees go back to New York. They win those 3 games, so now they're up 3-2. They couldn't touch Justin Verlander yesterday, so they lost that game, and now it all comes down to a Game 7. And I tweeted this out. Like, Game 7s are the best thing ever in baseball, except if your team was going into it with already a 3-game lead in the series. Then it's just nerve-wracking because you just don't want to blow it. So by the time everyone's listening to this episode, you'll either know I'm really happy or really down.
So that's what I don't get. You win. They won 3 in a row, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all in New York, all at home.
Yeah, and then you drop one, and then you go to a Game 7.
That's going to be a tough task because momentum always, like that old saying, momentum's as good as your next day starter. That proved the case with Justin Verlander yesterday. I mean, Yankees just buried the Astros at home in those 3 games. They had a great comeback. They actually hit Dallas Keuchel. The Yankees never touched. So they got a game they needed because to win the series, they had to beat 2 of their best pitchers. They beat one of them and they couldn't beat the other. And the one thing going for the game today, the Astros aren't pitching one of their best, so hopefully the Yankees can take advantage of that and hit them. But it's a Game 7. Anything can happen. So that's what makes it so nerve-wracking.
That's what I don't understand, too. It's like, I don't think the Astros pitchers are that inconsistent. I just think the Yankee hitters are just, they're either on point or they're going to lose 7-1,
Well, the first 2 games are really close. I mean, Dallas Keuchel for the Astros had had the Yankees number for the past 2 years, so it was a miracle to actually beat them. And Justin Verlander has been great since he got traded, since about 2 months ago now. So I was hoping he'd be due for a bad start, but that wasn't the case yesterday.
Well, good luck, Tim.
Thank you.
I expect that you're going to be bald by the end of that game.
Yeah, my hair is already short, but yeah, if it's a close, stress-filled game, I'll be pulling hair out. But that's still 2 hours away. Thankfully, we'll be doing this podcast to help keep me calm and hopefully relax until then. So it'll be a nice distraction and spending the whole day worrying about the game, because I already did that last night after they lost.
And plus, too, I guess it's a good thing. I don't know. I've never experienced this, Tim, for us to be this deep into October, and you know, my favorite baseball team still to be playing baseball. So it's
well,
great.
at least one of your players is now experiencing a deep October run with Sonny Gray, who pitched well in his game.
Who's getting the start tonight?
Sabathia. Who's 10-0 in Yankees losses this year, so hopefully he goes 11-0.
Is he your ace?
No, not really, but he's been pitching like one. He's been like the stopper. I mean, yeah, the Yankees pitching has been surprisingly really, really good this postseason, when that was pretty much the big question mark going into it, and it's been really solid. So just need to get one more.
One more, and then you if you win it, your team has to face the streaking Dodgers.
Yep.
Which is
I want it to happen for a few reasons, because first of all, you know, I want the Yankees to win because they're my favorite team, obviously, but it's been an improbable year for them. They weren't even supposed to make it this far, so it's almost like they're proving everyone wrong just by how far they've advanced. But at the same time, too, I want to experience a Yankees-Dodger World Series in my lifetime, because I've just heard from so many people how great and classics those World Series have been. So if we can get one of those and experience it for the first time, I think that would be so much fun. So here's hoping.
I guess, Tim. I don't know. I've never experienced this before.
It's been a while for me too. So, well,
maybe like 2000, the Subway Series. When was that? 2000? Yeah, maybe then was the last time.
I'm kind of sounding like a spoiled Yankee fan because I say it's been a while. It's actually just been since 2009 since the Yankees won and made it to a World Series. So it hasn't been too long, but from a Yankees fan's perspective, that's a long time.
Yeah. That was a good series, by the way.
Which one?
The Subway Series.
Yeah, definitely for Yankee fans. I'm sure heartbreaking for Met fans. But anyway, so yeah, we'll get through this podcast and have a good time, but afterwards I'm going to be a nervous wreck, so I got to enjoy this. So as always, we like to start off with the Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary, and we're going to be going from minutes 92 to 93. So as always, get your DVDs, VHS, beta tape, Laserdisc, your Blockbuster video membership subscription, your Netflix physical media disc, all those, you know, relevant formats right now. And
Redbox, maybe?
I still see people at like supermarkets and stuff at the Redbox machine, so I don't think that's quite dead yet.
Yeah, but do you know anybody that does that?
I personally don't, but I see people use them. So.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but I don't know. Pretty soon, Blu-ray is going to be moving on that list sooner than later. Like, I'm entering the 4K world. All I need is my Xbox One X, and then I'm fully in 4K mode. So sooner or later, we'll be saying Blu-ray, but not quite just yet.
So those Redbox discs or whatever, they're just DVDs, or are they Blu-rays too?
That's a good question. Part of me thinks it's probably just DVDs, maybe just a few Blu-rays, but I don't know. Never really looked into it because never had a reason to go to a Redbox and rent anything. So I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. Let's do this commentary.
All right. So we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. Gordon's getting up from the hospital bed. John Blake with the shotgun running through the halls.
Where's all the nurses and doctors?
Hopefully they're
so dark.
taking cover.
Why is it so dark in this hospital?
I did love Gordon's line here. Just clear the room, rookie. Showing Jordan or John Blake's, inexperience at that moment.
How come he has a gun in the hospital?
Yeah, I'm trying to think more because he took the shotgun. Were you talking about Gordon or John Blake?
Gordon.
Yeah. Well, the cop always has to have a gun.
I guess.
It was a small one.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to see the end of Dr. Pavel.
No.
And I remember seeing, this is like the first bit of dialogue I ever heard from Bane from like leaked audio clips that came out like a year before the movie. And this is where we first got a taste of, oh man, that's what Bane's going to sound like. But yeah, it was, striking at first, but in the end, it got used to it. And then I think it fits. So, but I remember that bit of dialogue where we were talking to Dr. Pavel there. It was the first time I've heard Tom Hardy's Bane.
Dr. Pavel.
Dr. Pavel, we hardly knew ye.
You served your purpose in the story, though.
Yes. But that's it for minute 92 on our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary. And with that, we can go into our discussion topics. And we're not going to have a normal set feature topic for this one because, we're going to be playing catch-up on this episode with some of the big new stuff that's happened over the last few weeks and got quite a bit of comics to go over. So I'm going to just talk about that stuff. So first off, the big thing that happened about 2 weeks ago was the new Justice League trailer that we got. And I was actually kind of surprised and not surprised at the same time because we know they really want to try to market the film. But at the same time, too, we were so close to the movie coming out, like just a little over a month away. And, at that point, we really don't need to see any new trailers. But being the fans that we are, we're going to watch it anyway. But I did make a point that now I'm on full Justice League blackout mode where I'm not going to watch any TV spots or featurettes that they might be putting out. And they seem to be, releasing some or stuff still going to be on the way from the marketing standpoint where they're going to be showing more footage of it. So I'm completely off the grid with Justice League and new footage now. So, but for this trailer, it's kind of weird. It's both at the same time, not really the best trailer that they released for Justice League, but at the same time, it is kind of a good trailer in a way for me because here's why. Like I said, it wasn't the best out of the four that they released. There was nothing really in there that blew me away like the other ones did that got me super pumped. But in a way that's good because as I was just saying, I don't want them. This trailer kind of wasn't unnecessary being so close, so they didn't show tons of new footage. It was mixed in with some of the previous stuff we've seen. But some of the shots we still got were still cool, and it did a great job, I thought, with, I was worried they were going to finally show Superman in here. I just was thinking to myself, oh, their fourth trailer in, I don't think they're going to be able to resist not having one shot of Superman. And they did, and they didn't, which I thought was kind of great. I liked how it kind of started with that dream sequence of Lois seeing Clark. We got to see Henry Cavill as Clark Kent here, but that's it. It's kind of a good way of, showing that he's in this movie, but they're not having the big reveal of his comeback as Superman yet. So I thought that was a smart way of including him, at the same time not including Superman. So I thought that was well done. But then, yeah, like I said, it's kind of pretty standard stuff that we got in the other trailers, a few cool new shots here and there. One of the new ones, I just like the battle sequence that they showing off of that big battle looks like between the Amazons and Parademons and Steppenwolf invading probably early on in Earth's history. All that like Lord of the Rings style battle sequence looks really cool. More cool shots, of the Justice League in action. I love the shots of Wonder Woman in this one where she's standing on that big statue. Just like, it's almost like you could see it as a comic cover for a Wonder Woman comic, which was pretty cool. Just her standing on there in a cool pose. And then just the quick shots we got of her fighting Steppenwolf look really cool. Just the wide shot reminded me of some of the cool action sequence we've got in her actual film, and seeing more of that in Justice League I think is going to be cool. And then I really like the scene at the end where I think the trailer ends on this, where it's Bruce, Diana, and Barry, they're all talking, and then they see the bat signal, and Barry's like, oh, cool, it's the bat signal. Like, I gotta be quiet. Like that's time for us to go. And then just Bruce reacted to that, like, yep, that's what it means. So all that stuff was good. It wasn't a bad trailer by any means. It just, didn't get me as excited as the other one did because we're so close, and it didn't like show anything brand new and go, oh man, this is going to be even more awesome. But that's good it didn't do that, because I don't want them to show that stuff that is going to get us more excited when it's actually in the movie. They did enough in the previous trailers to get me excited for it, and they don't need to go overboard with that. So, like I said, it's strange. It's not as good as the other trailer, but at the same time, it's the perfect trailer to get right now because they didn't go overboard with showing new stuff. So that's my take on it. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we're just under a month away now from Justice League, and so I'm still very excited for it. And it was cool to get a little more new footage before it's released, but thankfully not too much. So, Dane, I know beforehand you're not in love with this trailer, but let's just hear your take on it. Even as we're so close to the movie now, if it did anything to get you a little more excited, less excited, but what say you?
I will say this. It's a trailer. It reminds me of. I mean, Tim, you've been to a professional baseball game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume, have watched it on TV.
No, I've never seen a game on TV.
I assume you've seen, like a football game on TV, right?
I will say that's only a handful of games I've seen of football.
Well, you've seen one, right?
Yes.
This trailer kind of reminds me of, those press things that they do at the beginning of each game where they show like those highlight packages of they scored a touchdown. Look at this receiver catching the ball, and look at this quarterback catching the ball. Throwing the ball. Look at Aaron Judge hitting a home run over and over again, right?
52 times to be exact.
52 times.
Go on.
Yeah. This trailer reminded me of that. This was just like a burner trailer, if you will. This is just like a flash trailer, where it's just like, here's a scene, and then here's a scene, and then here's a scene, and then here's a scene. Here's a joke, and here's another scene. Here's a joke, and here's another scene. And it's not really connecting for me. It's, where's the story? Why haven't we heard anything about the story? I mean, I understand this is a big movie and everything. This is, going to be one of the big movies of the year. But you take a look at the Star Wars trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about this later, don't worry. Because we're nerds.
We cannot not talk about it.
But you look at the Star Wars trailer, even that first one they released, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a hint of story. You get where the story is going. And this most recent trailer is it's still flashy. It still has, Kylo Ren going around in his TIE silencer. Sorry, Tim.
Oh, there you go.
You see him going, in his TIE silencer, and you see like these battle scenes and stuff, but you still get a hint of where the story is going. With this Justice League trailer, it's not so much. It's just, like I said in my email to your the Saga Continues show, this is just CGI cartoons fighting and cheesy one-liners that don't really hit because there's no context to them. It's just Flash being like, "Hey, look, that's your signal, right?" Or Aquaman saying some, "Yeah, this is how we do it." That's the kind of impression that I got from this. It's not so much substance as it is just flash. It's just, okay, I guess there's going to be some epic, cool battle scenes, and there's going to be epic, cool stuff. I guess, there's going to be this big battle scene at the end, but we kind of expected that. We know that already. We know it's going to be visually stunning, dark. It's going to be very, very overcast, dark, right?
But red.
Sorry, there was sunshine in the beginning. It was either a setting or a rising or a setting sun, and there's going to be the red sun at the end. But I mean, I guess my point is we already know all this, and to put something together like this, where it's kind of like a promo thing, I understand trailers are promos, right? But to be so heavy-handed with it is just like, I don't really want to see like all these, cool, flashy scenes. I want to see more about the story and more, with the team working together and stuff like that, rather than all of this fighting. And I don't know, maybe I'm alone on that, and that's fine, but it's making me really, really scared about the story again, which was my biggest pet peeve of Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. It's the story. I mean, it's you can have all of these things, all of these action scenes and stuff, but if your story isn't there, then you've got nothing. I mean, look at the Avengers movies. Yeah, there's these big battle scenes and stuff, but there's also a great story behind them. And I don't feel the same way about this Justice League trailer. Maybe I'm expecting too much from it. Maybe, this is only 1 minute and 30-second trailer, but I don't know. I just expected more out of this trailer, story-wise. And I told you this when we were supposed to record 2 weeks ago, Tim. But I have a real big confession to make, and
I'm curious what this is.
It's gonna probably make me lose my Batman fan card, right? Batman vs. Superman is probably the worst movie-going experience in my life that I've ever seen. Yeah.
Wow. Did you see Batman and Robin in the movie theater?
I did.
And, that's saying something.
I was a kid, right? And I loved it. But this one, Batman vs. Superman, it's one of, and I've seen some crap in the movie theater, at the movie theaters. I mean, I've seen Pearl Harbor. I've seen the first Transformers. I've seen some bad movies in the theater. So, yeah, this is probably the worst movie I've ever gone to see in the movie theater.
Wow. Yeah. That is pretty surprising. Yeah. I know you didn't like it, but to say the worst movie-going experience ever, wow.
Yeah.
So, I don't safe to say it hasn't aged well for you, I think.
No, it hasn't aged well. And again, I've seen some crap movies in the theater, and this has to be the worst.
Well, in regards to the Justice League trailer, yeah. I think it is fair to say there wasn't a lot of story points in this trailer. It was, like you said, just flashpoints of some cool action, and like you said, the humor. Whether it hit for you or not, that's up to the person watching it. But
yeah, and it's
at the same time too.
It's all your opinion. I mean, it's people have differing opinions, and maybe it hit for some people or most people, but for me, it just it's the cheesy one-liners. It's the Aquaman, yeah, let's do this thing, sort of thing.
I just think it's also fair to say where for this trailer, it didn't necessarily need to have a lot of like heavy story points handed to you, because I think they did a good job of that in the last trailer that we got at Comic-Con with Steppenwolf and his monologue, and then just and talking about the invasion. And that's the thing about this movie, which I hope the story isn't overly complicated. I've said this before, just have it be a simple invasion story. And you mentioned the Avengers. That's all that was. The story for that was pretty simple. Loki's bringing an alien invasion, and then they team up to stop it. Just have it be something simple like that, but have the movie be, have the characters, carry the movie and their interactions and all that. So that's what I'm hoping for this movie. And I think in the past trailers, I've gotten that, at least, just showing what the story is going to be, looking for the mother box. That's the key to the invasion, and Steppenwolf coming to Earth, and then, of course, all the heroes banding together to stop them. And that's good enough for me. I mean, that's all this movie needs, is have it rest on the shoulders of the characters, the interactions, and just some cool action sequences. So with this trailer, I agree with you. Not a lot of story, definitely not. But at the same time, it's the fourth trailer, so I'm not going to really fault it too much for that, because I thought, for me anyway, they did a good job in the last two. So again, it's one of those things where we shouldn't even really had this trailer. If I was in charge of marketing, we wouldn't have gotten this trailer for it. I think
Yeah.
2 should be, I think the perfect amount is 2, like most of the Star Wars do, but now they've kind of had 3, but I don't think The Last Jedi is going to get 3. I'll be surprised. 3, I think, should be the max. Ideally 2, but 3 is the max. When you get 4, that's, it feels like it's pushing it a little bit. So that's why, like I said before, the trailer did a good job of not showing too much new stuff, but at the same time wasn't really necessary. So
yeah, and I guess what I'm afraid of really is, I'm going to wait for the reviews for this Justice League movie. Tim's review and then the professional reviews.
Are you saying my review is not professional? How dare you?
Well, Tim, let's put it this way. Your review means more to me than most professional reviews. But I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. No, I remember now. I guess what I'm afraid of really is it's going to be more like fan service rather than a story-driven movie where, in Batman vs. Superman, it was the cool Dark Knight Returns pose that Batman did. There's that slow motion scene where they're all walking towards Doomsday.
I think Batman v Superman is a really story-driven movie. If you think about it, there's not too much action in it. The thing is, the story wasn't really that great to be engaging for how long it was, too. So that's why I'm thinking have this be such a simple story. Don't have it be story-driven. Just have it be character-driven.
Or put it this way, it kind of reminds me of Suicide Squad, where it was those quick one-liners and, look how unique I am. And it worked for Harley.
Mm-hmm.
And just Harley, So
I think Deadshot had some good ones too.
Not really, because they tried to connect it to Batman, and it didn't really work. Captain Boomerang, didn't work at all. Katana.
She barely had any lines anyway.
It was I was like, was she even in that? Why was she in that movie? So it kind of feels like that sort of thing where it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Well, it all comes down to, how the whole movie feels together as a complete film, and maybe the one-liners will work better once you see them in context and there's not too much of them. Maybe it's just because you're seeing so much of them in the trailer, it makes you think, that's what the whole movie's going to be, hopefully be pretty well balanced. Still kind of how, like the Avengers, you mentioned the Avengers, and that is the template we got to go off of, because that is kind of the perfect team-up movie of bringing heroes together that we've seen before. So, of course, we're going to look to that as, the template of where hopefully Justice League could not copy it, but capture the feel and the magic that the first Avengers movie did, but in its own way. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We're just, like I said, a little under a month away now, and kind of curious when tickets are going to go on sale, because I got my Star Wars tickets, but they haven't announced when Justice League is going to go on sale. So hopefully that will be soon.
Yeah, it's too bad they didn't do it like the Last Jedi trailer, where they released the trailer and then they had the ticket sale. So
I was surprised they didn't. That's the perfect time. Release your final trailer, get your tickets after you see that. So I got to say though.
It's definitely going to be a wait and see for me. Wait for the reviews. If it's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, going to hold off for a little bit.
Well, after podcasting with you for 5 years, Dane, I know what you like and don't like. So I think I'll be able to tell if you'll like this movie after I see it. So
yeah.
But I will say that day the trailer came out, it was like one of the best geek days ever. We got the day started with the Justice League trailer. Then we got the little teases for the Last Jedi video trailer coming out in those short videos, and then we got some pretty big news that I'm geeking out over so much. Yes, Batman the Animated Series is coming to Blu-ray. Finally. finally you know how much I've been waiting for this, kind of banging on that drum for a while.
Really, Tim? You've been waiting for this for your entire life?
I don't know my entire life, ever since Blu-rays came out as the dominant format. So I think I said it one or twice on this episode or this podcast. So, but yeah, that was unexpected news for that day. It was really, really awesome to get. And it came out of New York Comic Con, and they had a Batman 25th anniversary panel with Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, Tara Strong and Kevin Conroy. And it's a great panel too, just, to hear them talk about the history of Batman, the animated series. Nothing really too new told at that panel, but I can hear those guys talk about the series for forever, really. Even if I've heard those stories a numerous amount of times, I just love hearing them talk about the amazing show they created. So definitely check out that panel because it's available pretty much anywhere. They live streamed it, and I tweeted out a link to the video. It was really cool. The one new thing I thought that was pretty cool that I learned on that panel was Alan Burnett talked about a unused story idea that they were going to use. It sounded really cool, but because of the nature of it, they weren't allowed to finish it. It was going to tell the history of the gun that killed Bruce's parents. He was talking about how you would see kind of how it was made and then the different people that used it before it got to the hands of Joe Chill, or he didn't say Joe Chill, but the man who killed Batman's parents. And just to see the kind of that history and where it has been and then leading up to that moment, I think would have been really, really cool. But unfortunately, because it dealt with guns and, it was such a heavy subject, they weren't allowed to make it. So that sounded like a great idea that hopefully can be used somewhere down the line in I don't know whether a comic story or they ever go back and use an unused script for a future Batman animated movie or something. I think that could be really cool. So it was awesome to learn that at the panel. But like I said, hearing the Blu-ray announcement, I just found out through Twitter, scrolling through it, and I seen people talking about Batman the animated series coming on Blu-ray. It's like, whoa, what? When did this happen? But it's all thanks to the sales of the Mask of the Phantasm Blu-ray, which I guess did well enough to warrant a remaster. They did say it's going to be a remastered version of the animated series, so they did a good job with the Phantasm. Like I said in my review, there are some shots that kind of had a little blurred or soft looking feel to it, but for me anyway, it didn't take away from the whole movie. It's just maybe a handful of shots here and there. So if they can clean that up for the animated series release, or even if there's just a few in certain episodes, I can live with that. It's just going to be great to have them remastered. The only thing I'm really hoping for is that they redo the sound and make it 5.1, because at least 5.1, we know there's better sound options out there as well. But the Phantasm Blu-ray was kind of disappointing in the sound aspect. It was just kind of your typical, 2.0 stereo. So they could, put a little more money into the sound as well. That would make it amazing. So I'm super excited about it. It's going to come out in 2018. No exact month just yet, but I'm going to pre-order as soon as those go up. So I can't wait.
And speaking of TV shows, I watched the new Star Trek.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard mixed things on
it. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. Like I'd say the first episode and the half of the second episode, it kind of feels weird because that's, spoiler alert, for Star Trek Discovery. The first ship that you see is not the ship Discovery. It's not the main one. And that kind of just throws you off, and majorly, and it skips ahead in time, and you then, like, I think it's the third episode, you finally get onto the Discovery itself, and that was just like a huge, like, they shouldn't have started off the show like that. They should have started it off on Discovery rather than because then you got to meet a whole new set of characters. I mean, okay. They go through the whole show. I mean, the whole first 2 episodes, I think. They introduce you to all the characters, and then something happens, and there's the Discovery ship, and you got to meet a whole set of new characters after that. Yeah. So
I wonder if that's in a weird way kind of paying homage to the original Star Trek series, because the first 2 pilot episodes was a totally different crew except for Spock.
Yeah.
And then after that's the whole new cast. But I wonder if that was kind of their way to pay a little homage to that. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I mean, I guess, but I guess nowadays that doesn't really work.
Yeah. That's good that you like it though, because I've heard mixed things on it, and for me, it's hard for me to get into other Star Trek series that's not with the original crew members. There's just something about them that's just so special. I know there's other great series out there. Everyone says The Next Generation's amazing, but just something about that original crew where they just can't be beat.
Yeah, and the main character, her name is Michael.
Okay.
Man, she's a really good actress, and she totally sells you on the show.
That's
and
good.
I think Tomorrow is going to be the fifth episode, and I think this past episode they really hit their stride, and I think they finally are settling down, and they're going to tell their story.
That's good. Is there kind of like, as far as the crew and the main cast, is there kind of its own thing, or can you tell they're trying to be like certain past Star Trek characters? Like, can you say there's like a Spock character, or there's a McCoy character, or
yeah, it's totally its own thing.
Okay, that's good.
There's what they do is there's hints of it, like like the captain is kind of Kirkish, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a spin on it, right? And I guess like the science officer, it's kind of like whoever the science officer was, but there's kind of a spin to it,
Mm.
So it's that sort of thing. I mean, there's no like, okay, that's a Spock right there. That's Bones right there. Like,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's on like the CBS's like own streaming service or something, right? It's like not on TV.
Yeah, it's on the CBS All Access. I signed up for the free trial just to watch the Star Trek, and
mm-hmm.
yeah, I enjoy it, so I'm going to pay for it. Pay for one show.
Well, at least it did its job that way.
Yeah.
Try to hook you in, and then like it so much you get it. So
yeah, I'm wondering what like, because I'm not a serious diehard Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what like those fans think about it.
Yeah, from the people I follow on Twitter, who a few I know are diehard Star Trek fans, that's where I see that it's mixed. I know some love it, and some are like, I'm not too sure about it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
So they're not. They're kind of in the middle then.
Yeah, just like I said, just from the people I follow. So I'm not steep into Star Trek fandom, so I don't really know what the Trekkie or Trekkers, what the correct term, what their consensus is of it. So. I remember Trekkies being a derogatory term for Star Trek fans, so I don't know if they still feel that way.
Sorry to all the Star Trek fans, but from what I hear and what I've read, it's this has been the case with Star Trek shows where they start off really slow and they not so great. Like The Next Generation didn't start off great. Deep Space Nine didn't start off great. So yeah, maybe this is just one of those cases where you just have to wait for them to put up the episodes.
Yeah, you can't base a show like if it's horrible or great or not just on a handful of episodes. You gotta ride with it for a little bit. So, but if you're saying it's in its stride right now, that's a good thing. And for being pretty early on, if they're only 5 episodes in, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a really great story, but you have to invest yourself in the story. That's the problem, because it starts off with one story and then it jumps into a totally different story, and I can understand how that throws people off, like majorly, because it almost threw me off. I was like, wait, so all those people, like Michelle Yeoh, is not going to be on this show, and like all these people that have been talking, and all these people, is like none of these people are going to be on the show. This is like a completely different show. And that's kind of how it feels. Like it feels like a completely different show. So I can understand how that can turn people off. So, but I mean, it's hit its stride. I feel invested in it. So
that's good. Yeah, we'll see if I ever make a jump to another Star Trek series with a different crew over the years, but I'm not counting on it with all the other stuff that I've been to. So we'll see.
So yeah, I was complaining about not having a show to watch, but I guess I found one, so that's good.
Yep. And who thought it'd be Star Trek?
Yeah, I know. Who thought it would be Star Trek?
But moving on from Star Trek to the other Star franchise. But
which one is that?
As I was saying,
which one is that one?
Darn, I was trying to think of some other franchise with the word star right there. Like nothing came to mind.
Doesn't Neil deGrasse Tyson have a show like Star or something?
Does he? I don't know. Maybe
Star Talk.
Star Talk.
Star Talk, I think it's called.
Maybe the other movie, The Last Starfighter. I don't know. But Yes.
Is that Wing Commander movie that Mark Hamill was in?
No, Mark Hamill was just in the video games Wing Commander. Then.
Oh, he wasn't in the movie?
No, the movie's totally separate.
So it was like a full movie video thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of those early PC games that had, actual movie cutscenes in there. So
yeah, like the first Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Too bad games don't do that anymore. It was something of its time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I was talking about how Sunday was a great geek day with all that stuff we got. But then, the big one came the day after the Last Jedi trailer. And oh boy, did that live up to expectations, or I'd say surpass. And going into the course, I was excited, but man, it blew me away. To me, it was one of the, if not the best Star Wars trailer I've ever seen, just because it not only looked awesome, but was full of surprises. It just made me like gasp in certain areas. It made me question certain things, that threw things at me that I go, oh man, they're going in that direction. It's like all this stuff that makes a trailer great, makes you excited, makes you, speculate, makes you wonder, like, are they going to go this way or that? It just had everything. And then some amazing shots. That Captain Phasma shot, I've been waiting forever to see that. Her in action, her and Finn are going to go at it. And that costume, as amazing as it looked, seeing it in action makes it look even cooler. So much good stuff in this trailer. And yeah, if you want to hear me talk about it in depth, there's a 4-hour podcast of Star Wars: The Saga Continues just on that trailer. So you can definitely hear more in-depth impressions from me on every single shot. But
4 hours worth, Tim.
Yeah. It was our 100th episode, so we had to hit a new landmark in the length of it. So it was a lot of fun, though. But it was also easy to do when we get an amazing trailer like that. I just loved it to death. So I don't know if you feel the same way, that it's the best Star Wars trailer ever, but it's pretty up there for me. It's just, like I said, not just how it looked, because it looked awesome, but just all the surprises it threw in there also.
Well, Tim, it was awful.
Okay, this podcast is over. First you didn't like Justice League, now you don't like this. Okay, goodbye.
No, of course I loved it. It was, that is as close as you can get to a perfect trailer.
Yeah.
You get hints of the story, like I said before.
But not too much either.
Not too much.
Tons of questions.
And 98% of this trailer isn't going to be in the movie, so you're not going to be spoiled on anything.
Had to bring that up, Dane. Just had to bring that up. That's still a sore spot for me with Rogue One.
No. I don't think they're going to do that again. I think they learned the hard way that they shouldn't be doing that. But, yeah, I mean, every single thing, like the action set pieces, you get a hint of story. It does not look like, and I said this in my email, it's not, it looks like Luke isn't going to be the right teacher for Rey. And I feel the same way about Kylo. I don't think, oh my god, I'm blanking on his name, Tim. Snoke, sorry. I don't think Snoke is the right teacher for Kylo. And I think what this movie is going to be it's going to be them breaking away from their teachers, or at least that's the impression that I got.
No, I kind of got that too, and that's one of the cool things where, I wasn't expecting to see, because that last shot in the trailer, where even though we were talking about this before we recorded, but how it ends with Rey saying, she needs someone to show her place in all this, and then the next thing you see is Kylo Ren extending her hand. I don't think that those shots are the same. I think she's saying that line to someone else.
Yeah.
But I still think it's Rey Kylo Ren is extending that hand to. It's just going to be a totally different circumstances from that. So the idea of them kind of, maybe teaming up in a way, like it didn't work out with their masters, and now they're going to team up to, bring balance to the Force and galaxy in their own way. That's, that just threw a curveball for me and what I think this trilogy can go.
Yeah, and it's not only that; it's also the fact that, and again, I said this is I'm pretty much repeating my email to you guys. It seems like, and this is great. I love this, that Luke isn't Obi-Wan, and he's not Qui-Gon, and he's not he's not Yoda for that. So I don't know. I kind of get this impression that it's not going to go well between Luke and Rey. Luke isn't that wise old man sort of thing. He seemed really, really paranoid and really, really
really scared.
scared. Right? Yeah.
I just love that shot where you see the crack go in the rocks, and then you see that look of shock on Luke's face, like, oh man, the power she has.
Yeah, and it's sort of that great power sort of thing, right? It's like when they first come upon Anakin. It's but the opposite of that, right? Whereas like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were excited, it seems
Qui-Gon at first. It took Obi-Wan a while.
Oh yeah, so, sorry. Qui-Gon was. It seems like Luke is scared of this, and I love that sort of change in attitude, where it's like, I don't know if Luke is the right person for her,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because they made hints in certain interviews that kind of Rey and Luke are going to help each other. Like Rey's going to help Luke get out of the rut that he's in, and then Luke's going to help Rey find her place. But at the same time, I still think that's going to happen in a way, but something's going to happen at the end of the movie that's going to, flip things over. Like you said, somehow bring Rey and Kylo Ren together. And another shocking moment too in the trailer was when you see Snoke, force paralyzing Rey, and I was not expecting them to come face to face in this movie. I thought that might be something they'd save for episode 9, but the fact that they're going to be seeing each other and face to face, and wow, I was like, oh man, what's going to go down in that scene? Is Luke going to come in and save her, or does she go off on her own, kind of like Luke and Empire did? It's just, like I said, opened so many questions of what's going to happen.
That's probably the scene that's not going to be in the movie, Tim.
No, it better be, man.
But I had a thought, Tim, and I mean, this is totally not going to happen, right? It's totally not going to happen. I don't expect this to happen. But what if Luke is the bad guy?
Yeah.
What if Snoke was the Luke's student, and Luke did all this?
No, I've heard theories about that. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to go that way with Luke and just kind of destroy everything he did in the original trilogy, being the great hero character, helping redeem his father. Then he goes bad. The next one, like, he's going to be in a bad place mentally and emotionally, but he's not. I don't think he's going to be evil or a villain type thing. But they're kind of marketing that a little bit too. I think it's to throw people off course, because I don't know if you saw this. There's these two standees they have at IMAX to displays to help promote the movie. Yeah, one's a hero standee, the other's a villain standee, but Luke's on both of them. Like on the hero side, you see him with his hood down, you can clearly see his face, but then on the villain standee, you see him with the hood over his head. It's kind of how he looks in the poster, but looking a little more, I don't know, little more evil than I guess than other images we've seen of him. But I think that's a misdirection. Like I said, we're going to see Luke in a bad place, but I don't think he's going to be the bad guy per se.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you know how like Force Awakens was sort of like a this is a bad word or whatever, but it was kind of like a copy of A New Hope.
Yeah, seeing those criticism, and I know what you mean. There's some moments where I think that too, but
no, but you see, I actually appreciated that in The Force Awakens, and let's just say The Last Jedi is going to be a copy of Empire Strikes Back. I'm just looking for that twist, that I am your father twist. So
they're even saying in some of the descriptions of the movie now, like some of the greatest secrets of the Star Wars saga to be revealed in this movie. So yeah, I'm expecting something like that too.
Or what I'm wondering is like, where's Jar Jar?
Well, they do say where Jar Jar is at in one of the books.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
No, the books count now.
Oh, they do?
It's all part of the canon. Yeah. He's pretty much like a lowly street jester on Naboo, looking for work, like a street performer. Yeah, he's seen better days.
Yeah, it must have been so disappointing. I mean, like, they announced that there's going to be a new character. First, there's going to be a new trilogy of films or whatever. There's going to be a new Star Wars movie, and then there's going to be a new character, and it's going to be the a cool character and stuff. And you know how back in like the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, you had the dial-up internet. And
Oh yes, I remember. It took hours to download that first Phantom Menace trailer. I remember it well.
I'm not even talking about the trailer. I'm talking about like the first picture of this new character. Who is it? And then, you know, you click on it, and then you're downloading the photo, and it's slowly going, and it's like, you know, is that floppy ears? Is that bug eyes? How come he's so gangly?
And then you hear him talk. Poor Jar Jar. Is he, you know, the greatest thing in the movie? No. Is he annoying? Yes. Does he ruin Star Wars? Absolutely not. Like, he has his place in it now. I just accept him.
Yeah, I accept him too. And Jar Jar is Jar Jar.
Exactly.
But it's weird how he had such an integral part in the movies.
The story overall, I mean, he helped. He had a big part in creating the Empire.
Because he didn't vote, or he got pressured into voting yes.
Yep, he gave the Chancellor emergency powers.
Yeah, I just think that's weird. Like, this goofy character that nobody liked had such an integral part in all of this.
I think that's awesome in the way that Lucas did that. But yeah, sadly, I don't think we're going to be seeing any Jar Jar in the Last Jedi or Episode 9. Hopefully a Gungan or two, that'd be nice. But
yeah.
I don't think we're going to see Jar Jar.
Especially the fat Gungans.
Yeah, Boss Nass.
Yeah, Boss Nass.
He needs to have his own standalone movie.
He needs his own trilogy, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got the title for the Han Solo movie, just Solo, a Star Wars story. Let's just get Boss, a Star Wars story. Everyone will know it's Boss Nass.
Or Gunga.
Yeah. Gunga. A Gungan Star Wars story. There you go.
Yeah, I can almost see them doing something like that. But you know how they did like the Lion King 2, where it was like straight to DVD or straight to video. I'm sorry, straight to VHS. I'm sorry. I can see them kind of doing something like that.
And I buy it too. Yeah. Anything they put out, I'm gonna buy it.
I'm just curious about what happened to Gunga. You know,
it's still there.
What happened to Naboo?
They're all still there. Like, they're under the oppression of the Empire, but then once they got defeated, it slowly, in some of the books, they don't go into full detail, but, you know, trying to make their way back.
Were they still a monarchy under the Empire?
For a time, yeah.
And then they
just became under Imperial occupation. It's actually, Naboo's going to be a level in the single-player campaign in the next Battlefront, so it'd be cool to hopefully get a little more info on what's going on Naboo after Return of the Jedi, so that'd be cool.
So you can see the place where Anakin was talking about sand?
Hopefully you'll be running through there in the single-player story.
Wow. Well, here's to hoping that Battlefront 3 or whatever has a great scene in Gunga.
It's a great environment. I wouldn't mind that at all. It's a well-designed place. It looks cool.
Yeah, and you get to have those like mouth breather things.
Those go in those little bubbles.
Yeah, the bubbles, and you get to see Boss Nass.
Yeah,
hopefully he's still alive.
Well, even in Clone Wars, he wasn't the head of the Gungans anymore. They had a new leader. I don't know what happened to Boss Nass, but we saw him at the funeral in Revenge of the Sith. He just wasn't in charge of the Gungans at that time.
What happened?
I'm trying to think. Because they just had a new ruler in the Clone Wars, so I don't think they say what happened, but I'm sure there's a background information on what actually happened to Boss Nass. Maybe his term was just up. Maybe they elected a new ruler.
Yeah, I guess.
See, this is why we need the Boss Nass standalone movie.
I'm all for it, Tim. I'm all for it. And what happened to the Queen of Naboo?
Yeah, they haven't delved too much into that. I just think once the Empire took over, they probably maybe allowed them to rule, but kind of just a figurehead in the Empire was really in charge. Or maybe they got rid of it altogether. I'm not sure.
The question that I keep on forgetting to ask you is, when Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith rides the lizard, right? And then there's that tall guy. With the lines on his face.
Yeah.
What happened to those guys?
They got, but you can even see in Revenge of the Sith, like they look like they got captured once the clones after they got the order for Order 66. You could see them kind of rounding them up and taking them prisoners. So, assuming they became under Imperial rule as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. I mean, those guys look freaky, but to be in prison like that, it shouldn't be.
As Obi-Wan called it, the start of the dark times. So
start of the dark.
But yeah, Last Jedi trailer was awesome.
Yeah,
so,
space foxes everywhere.
Oh, yeah, I love the aliens, those designs for those creatures. Everything was like about that looks so good. So,
yeah, and I hope, the beginning of the movie. I hope we start off in. I forget the name of the place that Luke's on.
Octo.
Yeah, Space Ireland.
We know how the planet is spelled. I still want to know what the correct pronunciation for it is. Right now, I'm calling it Octo before I call it Act 2, but Octo sounds right. So hopefully they say the name of the planet in the movie so we can officially know how to say it.
Well, we've never heard it spoken, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So I just call it Space Ireland. Because that was filmed in Ireland, right?
Yep. Skellig Michael.
Yeah.
The exact location.
Space Skellig Michael. And space foxes and new AT-ATs.
Yes, the gorilla walkers, as they're being referred to. Those look awesome as well.
Yeah.
I just love how massive they are. Just their feet. Hence the name gorilla walkers. Or how they're posed, almost like how gorillas are. It's like really, really awesome.
Yeah, but that would be their hands, Tim.
Well, that's true, but from the walkers, it's their feet. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you only walk with your feet.
That's true.
And what's the name of the planet that has the white sand, but if it blows in the wind, it's red?
Yeah, it's called Crate.
Crate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just thought it would have a more cool name than Crate.
No, yeah, it's pretty simple. Crate.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like if Yoda's real name was Bob,
Yeah, the planet names, we got Crate, Octo, and then the casino planet. The casino area is called Canto Bight, but the planet's called Cantonica, I believe. So
Cantonica. Yeah. How do you find all this out, Tim?
He's got to read a lot. Every news item that comes out for Star Wars, he's got to read it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and you know what I really like? I really like the Rey training scenes.
Oh, those are going to be the best parts of the movie, I think.
Where she's learning how to use the lightsaber, so we don't have people on the internet complaining that she knows how to use it. A woman knows how to use a stick.
Those complaints weren't even warranted for The Force Awakens. It's so stupid.
Why? Because she knows how to use a stick?
Yeah, obviously she has combat training. I mean, one. Two, she's obviously strong with the Force. And three, they went out of the way to show how badly wounded Kylo Ren is. So it all makes perfect sense when you add all that stuff up for how she could beat him.
Yeah, that's true. But man, those Rey training scenes on Space Ireland, man. I want to see more. I want to see an entire movie of that.
I know.
It's too bad. Like, I mean, I guess it's you win either way because you get a great, awesome movie. If we only get like a couple scenes of that. But
here's the cool thing about it too. The runtime. This is going to be like the longest Star Wars movie ever. It's going to be a little over 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Which is great news for me, and I'm sure for you too.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping for a 3-hour Star Wars movie one day. I mean, we're getting closer.
I don't know, but you can't make it too long,
As long as it has a good flow.
When
it doesn't feel like 2.5 hours, that'd be great. But like you're saying, because all that stuff on Octo with Luke and Rey is going to be awesome, but then you mix that in with all the other stuff. I mean, just want a good balance of all that, because I don't want like Rey's training with Luke to feel short or kind of they rush through it. But so I'm kind of happy with that runtime. Looks like they could have enough time to spend the time where they need to on all those places and with all those different characters.
Yeah, but I think the Star Wars, movie series, I guess all of the Star Wars movies what they do really well when they don't do it on a set is they have really, really great scenic places to film. You know, you have Tatooine, where it's, you had the dual sunset. Even on Naboo, which is Italy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rolling hills of Naboo, and Space Ireland, on Skellig Michael, where it's a beautiful landscape, and I think they do that really well. Kind of like the Lord of the Rings movies, where it's fantasy New Zealand, where everything looks amazing, So I think if you have that and you do like a 2-hour 45-minute movie, I think that can work out really well.
Yeah, you don't want to get bored or feel like it's boring on one spot where you're just looking at the same thing over and over again. Yeah, this trailer proves there's going to be a lot of great locations and environments we're going to see.
Just as long as they don't do the Lord of the Rings thing where it's like 5 different endings.
Well, they're going to say that for episode 9. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, Last Jedi looks awesome, and it was just a great 2 days to get about 2 weeks ago with all these trailers and awesome stuff. So great times are ahead, that's for darn sure.
Yeah, especially on December 17th?
15th, but 15th. Actually the 14th when I see it on those early Thursday showings. So
oh yeah,
that's my countdown date.
Yeah, so December 14th is it's going to be awesome.
Oh yes. But with that, that's going to do it for our news and discussion topic. So we can go ahead and get to our listener feedback in Jordan's email. And sorry we're late with reading this one, Jordan. So some of the stuff he's going to be talking about is going to be a little out to date because he sent this before the Justice League trailer came out. Yeah. So, but still gonna read it anyway, as always. So,
and judging from Jordan's Twitter feed, he's really into that Smallville show.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, just look at the past emails he sent with the recaps. Which is awesome. Like I said before, it was like me watching the show again. So I noticed too, Jordan's been watching the Netflix Daredevil series, and seems to be enjoying that. So which is cool because those 2 seasons were great.
Man, that Punisher show looks really good.
Yeah, that's going to be great too. Comes out the same day as Justice League, so see the Justice League movie, watch the Punisher series afterwards.
Well, at least I get to binge watch the Punisher series.
Yeah, you got that, Dane. But Jordan starts off saying, "Hey, Tim and Dane and Jake and Alex." He goes, "It was a lot of fun listening to you guys reminisce about the new Batman Adventures last episode. Tim, we are in a very small minority, but I am 100% with you in thinking that the new Batman Adventures is better than Batman the Animated Series, although sometimes I count them as one. My biggest complaint about Batman the Animated Series is that the status quo hardly ever changes. At the end of each episode, things go right back to the way they were before the episode. The only major character change that happens over the course of that show's run is Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. Other than that, not many characters really get arcs. On the new Batman Adventures, right from the start, there's major shifts. Dick Grayson has transitioned into Nightwing. Tim Drake has adopted the mantle of Robin. While it's still primarily episodic series, the fact that these characters evolve makes the stakes feel higher. Each episode doesn't start from square one. Then there's the animation style. The only character whose original design I prefer over their redesign is the Riddler. I think I prefer the updated designs for every other character. There are some notable ones that are huge improvements in my opinion, like Scarecrow and Batgirl. In addition, the animation itself in the new Batman Adventures was just much smoother and crisper. The other big improvement for me with the new Batman Adventures is the focus on the Bat family. Batgirl barely appeared in Batman the Animated Series, and Robin was used sparingly up until the show transitioned into the adventures of Batman and Robin. However, in the new Batman Adventures, Batgirl and Tim Drake as Robin both play integral roles, and Nightwing shows up fairly frequently as well. I listed my top 5 episodes of Batman the Animated Series in my last email, and 3 of the 5 were from the new Batman Adventures, which I did include as part of it. My point being, the majority of my favorite episodes, if you combine both series, are from the latter. If I were doing a top 5 only of the new Batman Adventures, my list would be number 5, Mad Love, number 4, Cold Comfort, number 3, Holiday Nights, number 2, Old Wounds, and number 1, Over the Edge. Yep, Jordan, I think we are in the minority there, but I agree with you 100%. And not to say that the Batman the Animated Series, the original, it was anywhere like not good because it was, more episodic. That's just how series were done at the time. And I always laugh too when some people complain about certain shows having filler episodes, or if it's not anything to do with the normal plot of the season, it's not good. And like, I just think, you know what? But back in the days of Batman the Animated Series, that was every episode. You could say every episode was filler for Batman the Animated Series, but it was still great. So it all just depends on what the story is for the episode. That term filler or not, being connected to the overall plot of the season and equals not being good, I just don't buy into, because you just have to have a good story for that episode, even if it doesn't connect. And that's what Batman the Animated Series was. But yeah, I agree. Just everything about the new Batman Adventures, like I said in our last episode, I felt an improvement, and just like I said, having the new transitions for certain characters, bringing in new characters, it was just a great continuation of the original animated series. And I'm with you. Sometimes I normally put them all as one, but at the same time, they're different enough to where if you want to differentiate them at times, you can do it also. But we are definitely in agreement saying that it's awesome.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Over the Edge episode is the one where Bruce is having the nightmare.
Barbara's having the nightmare.
Oh, Barbara's having the nightmare.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, where she dies.
Her dad finds out that she's Batgirl and gets all mad at her and stuff.
That was like she dies, and when he finds out after she dies that she was Batgirl, then he just goes to war with Batman.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's easily top 5 episodes of the entire Batman the Animated Series. It's so good. People knock it for it being a dream, but it doesn't take away for some of the big stuff that happens in there. Is for it being like a what-if story, like the last adventure of Batman. It's so good. Jordan continues saying, I read Batman number 32 today. Well, today as my writing of this. And spoilers, I usually throw out that spoiler warning after I give my basic thoughts on the issue. But if you knew what was taking place in this issue, and if you knew me, just me saying that I loved it would probably give away something huge. LOL. Well, yes, I did love this issue. It's a masterpiece in my opinion. We got 2 big reveals in this issue. We found out what the terrible thing Batman did was he tried to kill the Riddler. I thought that was really impactful. Batman was about to break his one rule, and not even in a way where there's some sort of caveat. He literally was about to stab the Riddler to death. And who stopped him? His greatest enemy. I thought the twist of the real reason why the Riddler started this war was fascinating, and it made sense why it would enrage Batman so much. I mean, so many innocent people died as a result of this war, emphasized once again by the double splash page of a bunch of the victims. Anyway, with all his cards on the table, Bruce awaited Selina's answer to his proposal. And she said yes. And I should say he has that all in caps with about 1,000 exclamation points. This made my day. I knew what her answer was a couple of days prior to the issue being released, as it was announced in the USA Today article, and I couldn't resist reading it. But reading it within the context of the issue was still breathtaking. It was an absolutely beautiful moment, and it brought me to tears. They're broken people, and because they're broken, they have the edges that fit together. That's a quote from Tom King, in as he said in the USA Today article, and it just shows me once again how well he understands the Bat-Cat relationship. I can't wait to see where King takes them from here. I said in my last email that if King stuck the landing on the War of Jokes and Riddles, he'd once again rewrite a list of favorite comic book arts. Well, he stuck the landing and more. The War of Jokes and Riddles sits within I Am Gotham, I Am Suicide, Rooftops, and I Am Bane as Tom King stories in my top 10 favorite comic arcs of all time. Yeah, you'll hear what I think of the last issue of the War of Jokes and Riddles soon, Jordan, but I will say I gotta complain about why DC decides to reveal, the question that everyone wants to find out in the issue before it comes out. I mean, they give USA Today the okay to reveal that Catwoman says yes to his marriage proposal. And it's like, why do they do that when the issue comes out 2 days later? I remember they did that with the death of Damian, and they do it for other things, for other comics, not just Batman. It just gets frustrating. I know they do it for publicity stuff, but you think they can wait the day after the comic comes out, because that's for the mainstream audience who not following comics, and if they see that, it'll get them to go and read the issue. I think that could still be the case if you wait a day till the issue comes out. For those of us who read comics, we don't have to worry about it getting spoiled. And it doesn't matter if you're not, for those who aren't reading it, because they're not going to know when it came out or care when it comes out. If what gets revealed is interesting to them, they'll pick it up no matter what. So it's still a little frustrating that DC feels they have to reveal big reveals like that before the issue comes out. But yeah, so I kind of knew beforehand. I tried to stay clear of it, but seeing some people's reactions, it's just like, okay, I can put 2 and 2 together and know what you said. But yeah, you'll hear what I thought about the whole issue coming up soon. But he continues saying, any Teen Titans update, Tim? Unfortunately, Jordan, not so much. Like I said, it's been a busy couple of weeks for me, so I still haven't gotten around to watching some of the new season 2 episodes. Or I shouldn't say new, but season 2 episodes from Teen Titans, especially when it's the baseball postseason and when my team's in it. That's all kind of I'm really obsessing over when it comes to, entertainment stuff. It's like follow the games, watching post games, baseball talk shows on it. It's kind of where my mind's at right now when it just comes to, entertainment stuff. It's all about the postseason. So it might end tonight though. So I might have some more time to watch the Teen Titans. We'll see. But I'll definitely let you know once I do. He says, we've gotten the new Justice League trailer coming this Sunday, but unfortunately that's after I'm writing this email. And I don't think it'll be out by the time you guys record either. Well, Jordan, sorry, but you did have tons of time looking back now to send us your thoughts on the Justice League trailer. But I look forward to hearing them on our next episode because I look forward to hearing your thoughts about it and writing in about it next time. I'm really excited. I really dug both sets of posters that they released leading up to it. Yeah, I forgot to mention, too, that they released a bunch of posters for Justice League. Some, like, character-specific posters. There's 2 sets of those. One set I think is better than the others. I tweeted all these out in our Bat-Fans podcast Twitter handle. The ones I like are that are color-themed, where it's like Batman has the blue background, Wonder Woman has, the orange sunlight, Flash is red, Cyborg's gray, and Aquaman's green. Those are the posters I like. The ones that are just black that say all in, some of them are okay. Some of the poses on those aren't that great, so not necessarily the best. And then the last new poster that came out, which is just all of them together, and you see the background of the sky. That's not really the best put together poster, I sadly should say. But hopefully when the cover for the Blu-ray comes out, there'll be one that's really cool. That's better than some of the actual posters we've gotten for that. Great posters are becoming a lost art nowadays, except for the Star Wars ones. Those are still managed to be pretty good. But superhero posters, like even the Marvel ones, they're just really not that great anymore, sadly. And I think a movie, it adds a little bit to it when it has a great poster. But Jordan wraps up the email with a couple of questions. He says, I guess this is just for Tim, but what are your thoughts on Scarecrow in Gotham Season 4 so far? I'm loving both the design and the voice. It's like straight out of a horror film. Yeah, so I just got caught up with Gotham yesterday. I was a few episodes behind, but Scarecrow was only in the first 2, and they actually did a really good job with him. I know talking about the trailers for Season 4, previously I said how Scarecrow looks really cool, and, he turned out pretty good in the episode as well. His design was perfect, I thought, and his voice, while it took a little while for me to get used to, I should say, but by the time they were done with his story arc for now, I thought it fit pretty good because he's still, a young kid, just taking on this persona for the first time. And it did kind of work. It's almost like sometime an unsure of himself type Scarecrow voice, which is understandable since he's just, embracing himself as the Scarecrow now for a young Jonathan Crane. So I thought in the end it worked. But Scarecrow I thought was really well done. And this season in general has been pretty good. I've been digging it so far. I just got caught up, like I said. They introduced Solomon Grundy, who last season they teased of that being Butch, the old mobster, or henchman for Penguin and for I'm forgetting her name, but there was Penguin. And then through season 3, Penguin was in rival with Barbara, and then she had the one who's now teaming up with Selena. I can't remember her name for some reason, but like her and Butch were together, but now he's Grundy after being shot in the head. And they did a good job with him as Grundy as far as the makeup and how he sounded. Looks like out of most of the characters they introduced in the show, Grundy's one I think they're nailing down pretty good. But Ra's al Ghul, they had a good actor for him. I was kind of curious where they took the story, and I just didn't like what they did with Ra's al Ghul and kind of where his story led up to. Just, didn't feel like the character at all, unfortunately, besides having, the Lazarus Pit connection and him being immortal. But what happened with him and Bruce, wasn't a big fan of that. But the season of Gotham has been, like I said, pretty enjoyable. I love what they're doing with the Bruce and Alfred stuff. Bad,
Really, even the mask.
that aside, that's still the worst
Oh.
thing. The costume he wears, and just the fact that he's in a costume, I think they shouldn't be doing right now. But the stuff Alfred's training him with, he's having him, he's training him to take on different, aliases to get into certain situations and find information. Like, that's a big part of Batman, and so it's cool they're showing that. And then just him acting like a spoiled little rich kid to put on a facade to get what he needs when he has to go to big public events. All that stuff with Alfred and Bruce is great. And even sometimes when he's out in the field, it's cool to hear, him and Alfred training. It's just his outfit. He shouldn't be in any type of costume right now. So other than that,
is it just cool or is it good?
no, it's good. I'll say it's good,
Okay.
actually. So,
Because that mask just looks like the Batman mask without the
yeah,
ears.
it's not good. He has like a little hoodie that he puts over it too.
Really?
It's just, yeah. But like I said, he'll probably be Batman by the end of the season. So
Probably because isn't essentially every single Batman villain in the show?
yep, pretty much. I think so far the only one they haven't is Man-Bat.
Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter was last season.
Solomon Grundy's in there.
Mhm.
Mr. Freeze is in there.
Yep.
Clock King.
I should say, Clock King, did you say?
Yeah.
No, he's actually haven't been. So there's one. I guess the big ones.
Egghead.
He'd actually fit really well in the Gotham universe, I would say. But
What
yeah,
were you gonna say?
no, I was going to say the only other big character that I'm sure they won't resist to bring in is Harley. So because they got Joker in there,
yeah.
but they just haven't had Harley yet.
Oh.
They shouldn't, but somehow I just think they're not going to be able to resist if this series keeps going on.
Is Deadshot in the show?
No, was he? No, he wasn't. He was an Arrow, but
Yeah, it
not
was an Arrow. I'm just thinking.
you try to look for more of the obscure Batman villains now.
Yeah, Falcone.
Yeah, Sophia Falcone's in it now.
Oh, so that counts.
Well, he was in the first season, if you remember.
He was?
Yeah, he was in the very first episode.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, he played a big part in the first few seasons.
Catgirl.
Oh, Catgirl. I forgot about Catgirl.
Katrina.
Yeah, no, thankfully not.
Poison Ivy's in there. Oh man, I'm trying to think of Batman villains.
See, yeah, they got most of them in. That's why.
Bane. Is Bane in there?
They did tease the Venom formula in the first season.
Okay, so Bane is in the show.
I think that counts.
Yeah, that
like
counts.
a little hint of them's there.
Lincoln March.
Does having the Court of Owls count?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, guess who's coming next episode? It actually looks pretty good.
The Joker.
He's already been in it.
Yeah. Who is it?
Professor Pig. He's coming in next episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he is kind of an older guy, right?
Mm-hmm. The way they have the pig mask, it looks like they're doing them pretty well. I think they're taking a different direction where his victims, he puts pig masks on them instead of operating on their faces and kind of making them like dolls or whatnot. But
yeah.
But as far as Professor Pig, he looks just like how he did in those Grant Morrison stories, which is cool. So we'll see how that goes.
So,
but
I guess the quicker way would be to say who isn't in the show.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like
the few we mentioned.
Is Captain Boomerang in the show?
Well, he's not technically a Batman villain.
Yeah, well, but still, is he in the show?
No, he's not.
He's not. Is Fish Mooney still in the show?
They finally killed her off for good last season.
But she came back.
Yeah.
How did they bring her back? Lazarus Pit?
No, just experiments going on. In this, like by Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange is in the show?
Yep.
Well, that kind of makes sense, because he's an older guy.
Yeah, they did a good job with that, too.
Oh, they did? Who, What does he do in the show?
Well, he's experimenting like with inmates in Arkham, or like, and then just like I said, doing experiments with them, and either turning them into monsters or resurrecting people. Just all types of different experiments.
I know one person that won't be in the show. One villain, Red Hood.
They already had the Red Hood gang, remember?
Really?
Yeah.
Red Hood is in the show.
The Red Hood gang, but
the Red Hood.
They definitely
This
teased
still
out,
counts.
you know. Yeah,
Still
it
counts.
definitely counts.
What about the guy from Long Halloween? The serial killer.
They had Mario Falcone last season.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't go the route of, you know, him being a killer. So he did get Zaz has been it. Yeah, he's like Penguin's right hand henchman. So he's actually pretty funny on the show. He just hasn't got to using knives yet. He still uses guns.
Oh well, I guess every single Batman villain so far has been in the show.
Most of them, like I said, there's still no Bad Bat. They haven't done Killer Moth yet, so gotta wait on
Killer
that
Moth. Yeah, I forgot about Killer Moth.
one. They did have Firefly.
They did have Firefly. Well, every single Batman villain then.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gotham's doing what it does. It still keeps me invested. Still has some moments where it makes me roll my eyes. But this season actually has been pretty better than I was expecting. So.
And Barbara's a bad guy now.
Yeah, she was brought back with the Lazarus Pit by Rachel Gould this year.
So she's like is she a Batman villain, or is she a
She's
Gordon
like a
villain?
More like a Gordon villain, if anything. She's like in the mob world.
She's like a mob boss.
Yeah, kind of. Trying to work her way up.
Okay. I guess, yeah. That's not a show for me, Tim.
Yeah, I kind of figured. You and a lot of other Batman fans, I know. It's not for you. Like I said, it does enough to keep me entertained and invested in it. So, but Jordan's second question is, have you read any DC novels before? If so, do you have any favorites? I was thinking about this since I'm about to dig into the new DC Icon series. And I was thinking back on some that I've read in the past that I've enjoyed. I read Greg Rucka's novelization of No Man's Land, which is excellent. Another favorite of mine is Arrow, the Vengeance novel. It's set in the Arrowverse and tells the story of Slade preparing to get revenge on Oliver leading up to his arrival in Star City in Season 2. And it also dives deeper into Isabel Rochef's history. Yeah, for me, I haven't actually read any of those. I know if I was going to read any, No Man's Land is the one I'd probably read first because I just hear how great it is from a lot of different people, but just really haven't had any time to dive into the novels. So
yeah,
when something hopefully I'll do down the line, but when there's so many comics to keep up with it, I kind of forget that sometimes there are even those novels out there. So sorry, Jordan, that's something I haven't gotten into just yet.
If you really like the No Man's Land story, I don't know if you read the comics, Jordan, but you said you read the novelization. You should listen to the audio drama that came out a few years ago now, I think 3 or 4 years ago. That audio drama is really, really good. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, you might want to pick that one up.
All right, cool. So that's it for Jordan's email. Thank you, as always, Jordan, for sending it in, and we'll look forward to your next one, which hopefully we'll be able to record on time next episode and be up to date with some of the new stuff that's going on. So look forward to that. But with that, we can go in and go into our comic book review section. And this one, I got a lot to catch up on, so it's going to be a little more than usual. We got Detective Comics, 2 issues of that, 965 and 966. All-Star Batman 14, Batman number 32, and Dark Knight's Metal number 3. And as always, going to throw the spoiler warning out there, even though you probably read most of these issues by now, but still going to throw it out there. And Dane, what should our rating scale be for this one?
Shows we've missed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So our rating scale is going to be the amount of episodes of shows that Tim and Dane missed on their own podcast. So starting off, I'm going to go with Detective Comics number 965 and 966. These ones, looking forward to this because it's starting the Lonely Place of Living story arc, which is going to bring Tim Drake back out from being the captive of Mr. Oz. And I like how issue 965 it's pretty much just kind of a recap of Tim's origin story, because it starts with him, looking at the photos of Batman and Dick Grayson and trying to convince Dick that, Batman needs a Robin, trying to get Dick back in the shoes of Robin after Jason Todd died. And it's all being done where Mr. Oz is interrogating Tim Drake. And I should say right off the bat, in Action Comics a few issues ago, they revealed who Mr. Oz is, and it was a pretty big shocker for me. He ends up being Jor-El, who survived the destruction of Krypton. So that's who Mr. Oz is, and he's interrogating Tim. And I like how it's pretty similar to the first Superman movie where he's interrogating General Zod and has like those circles spinning around him, kind of keeping him captive. I thought that was a little nice touch there. So Mr. Oz is interrogating Tim as far as, wanting to know why he felt like it was up to him to, save Batman back then, feeling that he needed to have a Robin and to try to get Dick. But then that didn't work. Well, he took up the mantle himself. And even now, while he felt the need to protect or have that system in place for the new Bat team that was established in Detective Comics, to have everything set for the system to work that he has, so he can go off and, do his own thing. And like I said, he wanted to go to school and end up leave being Robin. So he's trying to find out like what's in his heart and wants to know while he's doing all this. And at the same time questioning him if he's going to follow down the footsteps and become his own version of Batman. And Tim Drake saying, I never wanted to be Batman. I never wanted that path from the beginning. But as Mr. Oz, or Jor-El, I should say, is interrogating him, he thinks he has Tim where he wants him. And he's kind of revealing to him that, the reason I captured you here is because the way you look out for your friends and want to help everyone, that caught the eye of the person who's been, messing up with the history and time and all that. And Tim doesn't know, but we know it's going to be Dr. Manhattan. And of course, I can't wait till Doomsday Clock's just a month away. The teases Jeff Johns is giving for that, it just sounded really cool. I just can't wait to see how everything's going to be connected here. So that's why Mr. Oz kidnapped Tim, because he's caught the eye of Dr. Manhattan. But Tim is able, his whole point of, being interrogated and letting I keep saying Dr. Oz, but probably because of that TV show, but Mr. Oz, he was pretty much stalling so he can infect his computer system and to overwrite it with his own program and make his escape. But it turns out once Mr. Oz revealed himself to be Jor-El to Tim and tells him about, Dr. Manhattan having his eye on him. And, that he just says, you're free to go. I've gotten all that I need to know and where you stand. And so he just leaves. He didn't let Tim go, but Jor-El disappears and just Tim has free roam to go wherever he wants in this prison. So he's trying to look for a way out, uses a communication system. He thinks he's gotten in touch with Batman. Batman responds saying I'm trapped in here too, like come to my location. So they go to meet up and Tim meets Batman, but there's this big noise, like there's a monster coming. It ends up being Doomsday that Jor-El had captured there too. But the Batman in here brings out a gun and just starts shooting at it. And of course, that's obviously going to catch Tim by surprise. And once he sees this Batman take off the mask, it turns out to be a future version of Tim Drake. And after Tim telling Jor-El that he'll never be a Batman, he's never going to take up that mantle. Of course, that's going to come from a big shock to him and what looks to be a more violent version of Batman. So pretty cool stuff in this issue. I like how it was a nice recap of Tim Drake's history, showing the importance of the character, and then, having a pretty cool cliffhanger ending with revealing that he becomes Batman in the future and they're both together here. So it's a really cool issue. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5 shows that Tim and Dane miss of their own podcast. And now for issue 966, this one continues, I think, even better off than 965. Just some of the dynamics that Tim and future Tim have with each other I thought was really cool. I like how this issue started off just showing how much of a violent version of Batman Tim Drake will be in the future, where he captures anarchy and just, shoots them in cold blood. Then he ends up being on the run from Commissioner Montoya. And then we get him in the Batcave looking at, video files of Stephanie Brown coming back to Gotham, saying, the stuff that's happened would cause Tim to go down this dark path, saying how it's not really Tim Drake anymore. But before we find out anymore, we see him getting transported into the prison of Mr. Oz. And then we're back into the present with him and current Tim Drake fighting off this Doomsday that Jor-El had captive. And at the same time, them going back and forth saying, current Tim, I'm never going to be like you. in the future Tim saying, yeah, I used to think that way, but it's inevitable. This is what your future is going to hold. You don't think I never wanted to be this way. Like, I still regret it, but this is who I am now. And kind of going that back and forth. And then I also loved how future Tim gives current Tim the history of what happens, of saying, like, if it's not me, then who else is going to do it? And he tells what happens to Dick. He says he took on the mantle for a while, but like Dick always does, he moves on, even though I try to convince him. I did like the costume that this splash page had of Dick as Batman. It's pretty much all black, and the bat symbol is the color blue of his Nightwing symbol. But I thought that was a nice touch to, make you really know that is Dick's version of Batman. Then he says Jason, got into a big battle with 100 of assassins, and it just messed him up. He lost his eye, and he lost the will to live, and you just see him kind of being a bum on the street. He said, then we got the Damian Batman. He said he almost burned Gotham to the ground, so he had to kill him. And that, of course, is a shock on current Tim's face. He just continues to call him a monster. Like, how could you do all this? And, he just telling him, the things that happened, like, you'll find out. You just don't understand this. And, like, you think of there's always tons of possibilities where you can make that you change certain things, it won't happen. That's not the case. Like, this is inevitable. Like, you could just have to accept this. So they eventually, they distract the Doomsday by creating like a hologram version of Superman that he chases, and they're able to, I think he shoots him with like some kryptonite type bombs or bullets. I forget what, but they're able to make their escape out of Mr. Oz's prison, and current timeline Tim reluctantly accepts the Batman Tim for helping to get out and to return to Gotham. And this is the cool moment here that I really liked in this issue, where they're about to go their separate ways, and current Tim tells him, go back to where you belong. And then the Batman Tim tells him, before I go, there's like something I need to tell you that I wish was told to me when I was in your shoes. Because the Batman Tim's remembering that he had a conversation with a Robin before, and this, it's a little different, but there's past history where this is, like you said, this is inevitable. It's going to happen. I remember having this conversation with my future self as well. So he thinks the timeline is set in stone, where no matter what current Tim Drake does, he's going to be this version of himself as Batman in the future. But he wants to tell him anyway. Before I go, he tells current Tim, tell Connor you're sorry, like, for everything. And then Tim just tells him, like, who's Connor? And that just causes a big shock on the Batman Tim's face. And they're like, this can't be right. Like, just ask his computer system, give me everything you can about this timeline. And he sees what's going on with, the current Bat family and Tim's current Batman team. And he just sees it and he goes, but like, so much is the same, but a lot of stuff has changed, almost, like it's altered in a strange way. And so to prove his point, like, he takes the batarang and just slices Tim's arm, and then he takes off his glove, and now he has a scar. And he's saying, oh, wow, so I didn't have a scar before, but now I do. So time can change. I can change history. Then that realization to him just brings tears to his eyes. He just says, I can be free. Like, I can be free of all this, this heavy burden that he has of being this dark version of Batman. It was really getting to him. And now that he has a way out, he's going to take it. Then the issue ends with him saying, I need to kill the one who was responsible for setting all this stuff in motion for me becoming this way. And that is Batwoman. He just says, I need to kill Batwoman. And that's where the issue ends. So a lot of cool stuff in here between the two Tim Drakes and their possible future and the history. The timeline's not matching up to how the Batman Tim has memories of the pre-New 52 timeline, while this Tim doesn't. So I just love all the stuff and the teases that we're going to get to hopefully Doomsday Clock with Dr. Manhattan. So I really like this issue as well. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of episodes of Tim and Dane of Myths of their own podcast. Really cool. And then next up is going to be All-Star Batman number 14. This is going to conclude the first Ally story, which in my opinion has been really great. And this was a great conclusion to it. It starts off, Briar has kidnapped Batman with his henchman Nemesis. And the issue begins with Alfred in the past trying to catch Briar from killing his father, because of the previous story end, we found out that Briar was going to kill Alfred's father to free him from any attachments and pain for when he's out in the field to become the ultimate weapon. But in the current timeline, Alfred is trying to rescue Batman from being captured in a plane, and Alfred has got the help of the pirate families that we saw in the previous first issues of the story, and he just shoots down of the plane that Briar has Batman captive in. I like Alfred's dialogue here, kind of being a little meta, talking about real world quotes. He goes, there's a saying in our country, Briar, always be yourself unless you can be Batman. And, we see quotes like that, even on T-shirts. This like almost becomes a meme what we see online and on social media. So I thought it was kind of funny how Scott Snyder threw that in there. And he goes, sadly, I can never be Batman because Batman doesn't use guns. And then we just see him roll out this big chain gun from the plane and just shoots down the plane that Briar and Bruce, Nemesis, were on. And then, like I said, it parallels to the past where he takes down the plane that Briar was going to kill his father on, and he stops him from doing that, and kind of leaves Briar for dead off that plane. So in the current timeline, we see Alfred on an island. He finds the down plane with Batman unconscious there, but he's able to find him, and Batman shows him that he's okay. But Nemesis is there, and Alfred and Batman both deduce that Nemesis is actually Briar's son William, who he said was killed. And he used the Genesis engine that everyone's been after in the story arc to bring him back and create this ultimate weapon that Alfred was so close to being as his student but never got there, like the perfect killing machine. And they have a fight, and then it turns out though that him being Briar's son was just a red herring, as it's revealed that Briar actually used the Genesis engine to create a younger version of Alfred. That was his perfect weapon all along, and the one he truly viewed as his, son when he was training him all those years ago. And that's why he wanted to base this new one, use the Genesis engine, create the perfect version of Alfred. And he keeps telling him, like, he still calls him his son, because he views him as a son, like I just said. And he just says, kill like the last person you could be connected to, like, which would be the real Alfred, like the one you like rip out the little flicker of caring that you would have for anybody. Like, do it, show no mercy, like become the perfect weapon. And then he says, like, yes sir, and he ends up killing Briar because he actually viewed him as his father figure. And then he probably just says well done as he dies. And then the younger Alfred, he leaves off in his Nemesis helmet and his armor, which I gotta say is still a pretty cool looking costume. And so he's not going to be gone for good. I have a feeling he'll show up now and then in the upcoming story arc, I say. But the moment I loved in this issue, I thought made it really great, is after everything's done, Alfred's recalling the time he stopped Briar from killing his father. He went to go meet him, but it was too late. He died anyway. And because I remember I was saying in the last issue where it kind of hinted that Briar killed Alfred's father, but in the Court of Owls it was established he was killed by a Talon. So it looks like that's still the case. I was getting a little confused with that last issue of how they set things up. But then we get this great moment, probably one of my favorite moments of the story arc, and definitely of this issue, where we see Alfred in the past taking on the job as the Wayne family butler. He goes to the clock that they was always showed his father at. He just smashes it. Then he finds out there was tons of letters from his father there, and that he just didn't deliver. And that just brings Alfred to tears, kind of showing that, his father did care about him. Still, kind of wondering why he never did, send them. But then we get this great moment as he's crying. We see this voice say, hello, who are you? And then, my name's Bruce Wayne. And we just get this great panel page of a young little Bruce in a Zorro costume, just introducing himself to Alfred. I thought that was just a great moment to see, the first meeting between Bruce and Alfred, and Bruce already being in a costume as his favorite hero, Zorro. And that was just great. But then what also makes it really cool is we get back to the present, and Alfred's looking at that clock, and then Bruce comes in, and Alfred just has a sad look on his face, and he just goes and gives Bruce a big hug and just a big embrace, and Bruce is there to comfort him. It reminded me a bit of that moment in Robin's Reckoning, where just Dick and Bruce share that moment of bonding over the loss of their parents, and Dick just starts crying, and Bruce is there to give him a hug. It just was like that, just kind of on the opposite end of Alfred being that. And then just a monologue of how Alfred, showing that he really is Bruce's father, saying that he's helped him and Bruce in turns helped him. But still kind of questioning, have I done the right thing? Have I been his ally, or this dark captain that you read about in old pirate stories? But then he just says, all I know that in the end, I love him with everything, and right or wrong, and as crazy as this is, we'll sail together. Because the whole theme of the story is about connecting to your typical old pirate stories, and it was a nice parallel and draw to the events that were actually happening here, in the relationship between Bruce and Alfred. I thought was really well done in this issue, just showing the closeness that they have as father and son, I just thought was really, really well done. Scott Snyder did a great job in this in wrapping up the story arc. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of 5 times the Dane and Tim missed their own podcast. So the first Ally is definitely the best story arc to come out of All-Star Batman. And yeah, this last issue was great. Those moments with Bruce and Alfred were really, really well done. So another hats off to Scott Snyder. He did it again with this issue.
So you're liking All-Star Batman?
This is definitely its best arc.
Oh, okay.
Hands down. So just the character stuff with Alfred and Bruce was just really well done. So yeah, curious to see where it's going to go next, because this one's going to be kind of hard to top.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Batman number 32, the end of the War of Jokes and Riddles. As Jordan hinted, he thought it was a great conclusion to it, and I'm going to have to agree with him. I've been a critic on this story overall. It's had some good issues, but at the same time, not really getting fully invested in the battle that was going on between Joker and Riddler. But this issue brought it home in a really well done way. I like how it starts between what's no dialogue for the first few pages. We just see Bruce and Selina just on the bed. Bruce is just so nervous and anxious. He has his hands over his head and just needing some comfort, and Selina is there to do that. Then we get right after that, we get a page of just showing all the victims, just normal citizens who died in this war between Joker and Riddler. Then after that, we get the standoff between Joker, Riddler, and Batman. Like I said, just no dialogue, just, showing the tension between those 3 characters, and then going back to the present with Selina and Bruce, just her being there comforting him during this really difficult time, looking back at this moment. And then we go back to the past where just Batman and Riddler have a throwdown. And I just like how Joker and Riddler maybe get 1 to 2 hits in there, but Batman's able to take him down pretty easily, especially the Riddler, which is how it should be. Riddler shouldn't be a match for Batman in a physical fight. So he's able to take him down. Then Riddler just screams out, "Mercy, please." Then he just goes, whoa, yes, this is great. This is what I wanted. Are you laughing yet, Joker? Come on, you got to be laughing. And Batman's all like, what? He's like, Joker, why aren't you laughing? And then he goes, no, this can't be happening. Everything I've done, this whole point of this war, it wasn't, to stop Batman. It was to solve the greatest riddle of all, to what can make the Joker laugh. And I even, out of all things, I set up Kite Man to be the one to bring this all down. A little known thug and a villain named Kite Man was going to be the undoing of you and a Batman, and that was going to make you laugh as Batman defeated me, but it's not working. Why isn't it working? So I just love the idea that it does make sense, because even at the start, the whole thing about this war starting, it kind of made sense of just wanting them to take down Batman, but it was too basic. I thought it should have been something more than that. And for Riddler to think Joker not laughing and to be the one to make him laugh would be the greatest riddle of all, I could definitely buy into that as a reason for Riddler to start this whole war, to serve his own ego to solve this riddle. So I think that was a great little twist on there to have what the reason of this true battle was, or this whole war, but then all come crashing down on Riddler's face as when he thought he was defeated by Batman, Joker would start laughing, but it didn't. That just sends Riddler on the deep end, saying how could this happen? It tells Batman what, you're fun to go up against and fight, but you're not the ultimate riddle. When you have the man who laughs at anything but now can't laugh, that's the ultimate opportunity to prove my genius and get him to laugh, but it's not working. Joker still isn't laughing. And then as Batman's hearing this, I just love this moment here in Batman's monologue, because he says, going back to Kite Man's son who died, his son Charlie, goes, I was there. After Riddler poisoned him, he killed him just to solve a riddle, to tell a joke. And that's really, getting to Batman. All this started, this kid died just for Riddler to solve this joke, or this Riddler, or this riddle, I should say. And I like how he brought back that Kite Man issue where his son was, worried about going to hell and using the word hell as a curse word, if he's gonna go to hell because of that. And Kite Man tried to reassure him that no, you're not going to that bad place. But then Bruce says his father told him no, but Charlie didn't get to hear that. He was already died. And Batman, that just snaps as he's thinking back. He grabs a knife on the table and he's about to stab Riddler, and Riddler just goes what are you doing? No. And Batman just goes, hell yeah. I just kind of sounds strange for Batman to say that, but it ties into the connection to Kite Man and his son is about using that curse word there. So just great parallels that I thought worked really well. And then Batman about to stab Riddler. I loved how this page was this one splash page of Batman thrusting the knife, and it looks like he's stabbing Riddler. And the monologue saying, you know what, I didn't think I'd fail. He goes, it wasn't an accident. I wasn't out of control or out of my mind. I knew what I was doing there. I understood the choice I made, but I still made it. Like, I was going to kill the Riddler. That was my intent, and I did. But he didn't kill the Riddler. Joker stuck his hand out to stop him from doing that. And Joker I just love his line. All he says is, now that's funny. Then he just bursts up into laughter, and the typical Joker ha-ha-has going all over the page. And I just love how that's what got Joker to laugh during this whole time. Seeing Batman about to break his one rule to kill someone, and that's what got Joker to, laugh like a madman. And that's the reason, the biggest regret that Bruce has here, because then we go to him and Selina saying, I've always said that's what separated me from them. They don't have limits. I do, but not at that time. Like, I can't say that anymore. I became weak and gave in to my urges to try to kill him. And I could buy into that as far as this is being pretty early on in Batman's career. And what happened to Kite Man's son, was terrible. And I could totally understand why Batman would feel the way he did wanted to kill Riddler because of that. So I thought it all worked together nicely. As Jordan said in his email, the way Catwoman responds, saying, I like how Jordan said mentioned that Tom King line, how they're two broken pieces that fit together. And she just tells him, Joker asked Batman, like, what's the difference between a joke and a riddle? And Catwoman just says, the answer is, who cares? You know what? Yeah, we got messed up lives and we've done stuff that we regret, but this is like, she says, honestly, who cares? Like, we could still be together and try to move on from that. And so she just tells Bruce, you know what? Say it again. Like, ask me, like, really ask me this time. And he goes onto his knees and says, will you marry me? And the issue ends with her saying yes. So, yeah, the big surprise was not her saying yes. I was kind of expecting that. But the big surprise is what the regret Batman has, and I totally bought into it, how he could look back on that, even though it's a while ago, and really regret that he wanted to kill Riddler, even though he didn't, and that it took his greatest enemy, the Joker, to prevent that from happening. I just think that works on so many levels, from a story idea, and then just adds more to the dynamic of Batman and Joker's rivalry, that Joker's always going to have that on him, that he was there when Batman was going to kill someone, but it was because of his greatest enemy that he didn't. So tons of cool stuff there. So I want to give this issue a 5, but just a part of me feels I can't, because the lead up to this, the whole War of Jokes and Riddles story, I still felt was kind of a disappointment when it's said and done. It's strange because the lead up to it wasn't that great, but the payoff and the ending we got made it worth it in a way. But I can't say it's one of the all-time great stories, because a lot of it I didn't really like and thought it could have been done better, but with such a great ending that it almost saves it. So I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to give this a 4.75 out of 5 episodes that Tim Dane missed of their podcast, because I can't quite give it that perfect score just yet. Or I shouldn't say just yet. I just can't quite give it that perfect score, because I felt what came before it just wasn't as great as it could have been. But it was a great ending, I will say that.
So what you're saying is that 0.25 makes a difference.
Yeah, because everything that came before it, to me, it takes a little bit away from it being as special as it could have been. So I know it's probably nitpicky, but I just couldn't quite give it that 5. I was really looking forward to the Wars and Jokes and Riddles, and there's a lot of the issues I felt could have been better, even though, like I said, it ended on a really, really high note. It just, I don't know, just like I said, could have been truly great, and it wasn't because of those subsequent issues. But in the end, still worth it, because I just love the new aspect that it threw into Batman and his past and his dynamic with the Joker. So I got to give it props for that.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, big time. And then finally, Dark Knight's Metal number 3. And this is probably my favorite issue of the Dark Knight's Metal storyline. I've liked it. I just haven't thought it's been great just yet, because I'm still, again, on the fence of Batman being this like destined character to bring about the dark multiverse who's been watched all this time. And this issue didn't deal too much of that, which is probably why I liked it the best, because it's mainly about Superman. I like how it starts with Damian and John, Clark's son, they're at like a picnic with the families, and then they're just playing guitars, and you see them knows that they're playing like almost like they're doing the Adam West 60 song, because you just see na 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 Batman is what they're playing. So it looks like they're all having a fun time. They're saying they defeated Barbados, but then we see Barbados actually come into this and just destroy everything. And it ends up being like a dream sequence that Superman's having, but really captures, it's almost like apocalyptic, almost something like biblical out of the Revelation book of the Four Horsemen, where you see the Dark Knight's Batman coming on these horses in flames, and Barbados leading them all. And he was, as we're seeing, like Superman saying, "Oh, we defeated you." He's like, "I can't be defeated, Clark." And he's like, "You fought this battle a million times," kind of type of thing, because it ends up getting revealed that Superman and Wonder Woman are tied up to this like massive tower with like some dead bodies there. He says they've been there for a week, but it feels like months and years they've been battling Barbados in these different type of battles, but it's all been in his mind. And then we see this moment of Bruce still in the dream sequence of his chest starting to bleed, signaling that, Barbados is coming or this is a dream. But he just says the words "Carpe Diem" in a question mark to Superman, and that ends up playing a big role later on in the story. But as Superman and Wonder Woman make their escape, they try to, this seeing how destructive the city is, and just almost the world now, and how Superman just wants to go after Barbados right away. And he goes to find him in Gotham, and he sees him like surrounded. I love the design of Barbados, this very evil looking version of Batman, almost this Batman with no face, with this hooded cloak, almost like a ring wraith from Lord of the Rings, but kind of more of the bat shape with his cape and the cloak with the bat ears. So I like his design. So Superman's about to battle him, but then the Dark Knight's version of the different Batman of Bruce Wayne from the Dark Multiverse start coming to attack Batman. We see the Joker version of him with his Goblin Robins attacking him, then the Doomsday version attacks Superman. They're all telling him, we're all Bruce Wayne, and Superman's trying to tell him, if you're Bruce, that means there's some sort of good in you, and they're just, not having any of that, saying how each one of them killed the Superman in their universe, and just saying, is this really the darkest fears that Bruce has, or are these his dark desires that are in him as well? So just the manifestations of the evil that Bruce could be in these different versions of the Dark Multiverse is, pretty staggering to see. And I haven't really gotten any of those tie-ins issues. Fortunately, there's a lot of comics to get. I don't have a budget for all of them, so I'm saving. I'm going to read some of them eventually, probably digitally once they drop in price, as digital comics usually do after a while. So I still want to read up on some of these different versions of the Dark Knight's Batman, because, like I said, a lot of them are pretty intriguing, especially the Joker one and the Green Lantern version. So, but it's just cool to see him in action here in this issue, and just how visually striking they are to be different versions of Batman. But Superman is able to be rescued by the Flash, and they go to this secret hideout by Kendra, aka Hawker, or leader of the Black Hawks here. And there's different members of the Justice League there: Green Lantern, Aquaman, Detective Chimp is present, which is always nice to see. Then Nightwing there. I like how the little editor's note called Nightwing Jon Snow Nightwing here, because that's kind of what he looks like, as he's been battling Barbados and his men in Gotham City for a long time. So they're trying to figure out what their next move is. They realize the nymph metal is the key to defeating Barbados in these versions of Batman. And so there's locations that they got to go to try to find the nymph metal. But Superman is saying, no, Bruce was talking to me. He let me know a secret code that me, him, and Diana have. The code was like an alphabetical. He says the words "Carpe Diem." I said how that's going to play a role here. That's going to mean the code that we have, where if something's wrong, Bruce would say, C and D to signify Clark and Diana, or if it was reversed, it'd be C and D for Bruce needing help, or if Clark needed help, it would be B and D for Bruce and Diana. So Superman is dead set on going to rescue Batman. He feels he knows where he's at in the Dark Multiverse, but Nightwing's saying, no, we can't do that. We got to, do what he would do here, keep fighting them and look for a way to stop them once and for all, and then help them. But Damian isn't he's like really mad at Nightwing for doing that. He's on Superman's side, wanting to go rescue him. But their hideout doesn't stay hidden for long, as the Joker version, the Batman Who Laughs, comes in and just like rips in with his Goblin Robins and starts attacking. But everyone's able to escape with the help of Dr. Fate, and everyone goes off with their separate ways to find the nymph metal. Then Flash takes Superman to the fortress to, use the Speed Force and the anti-monitor tower that Superman kept to try to send him to the dark multiverse, and it works. And the dark multiverse, I know it's called Dark Knight's Metal. It does look like something you would see like a heavy metal video or visual album or something like that. The fires and flames and like the way, like I said, the Dark Knight's versions of the Batman look. This is all definitely has that heavy metal feel they're going for. And it gets revealed here as Superman makes his way to rescue Bruce. Bruce is saying, like, no, you shouldn't have come. I tried warning you. Batman. Superman's like, no, I've heard your call, the code word. He says, it's in the music. I tried to tell you through the music you're hearing in your dream. And he goes, trying to I got the issue right here, because he was saying the only way to communicate across the multiverse is through vibrations and the notes of the song. And the notes of the song Damian and John were playing, it starts with D and C, the reverse of my code, and telling Superman, don't, as they'll stand for, don't come here. Because Superman was actually the key to powering these towers to get the energy needed to, bridge the gap between the dark multiverse into the real world, to sink into the dark multiverse, to have everything be part of the dark universe. So I thought it was just a fun, cool issue with Superman learning about, Barbados's plan and the little connections that Superman has with Batman and the codes there. I just think that's a cool way of, just showing the relationship that they have, and when things go bad, the contingency plans that they think would work, but in turn ends up being their undoing. And just visually seeing the Dark Knights of Batman in action, I thought was cool too, even though they weren't a big part of there. It was nice to see them have a role in the actual story instead of, getting. I know it helps if you get the tie-in issues to get more of the history of these characters, but I hope they play a big role in the actual story and not just to rely on those tie-in issues, because there are definitely interesting versions of Batman that need to play a big role in the actual story. So I'm hoping that there's more of them to come. It was just good to kind of see what they can do a little bit here, get a little tease of them. So Dark Knight's Metal, I thought number 3 was the best one yet, and looking forward to what comes next in this story. So I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 episodes that Tim and Dane miss of their own podcast.
Not 4.75.
No, it wasn't quite on the tip of a 5 like the war jokes and riddles were.
What about a 4.89?
I don't want to get to the logistics of what would cause an issue to be rated that way. Like, how could it be a little better than a 4.75 but not quite a 5? Splitting hairs a little bit there.
Well, all right. So yeah, that's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
All right, just go to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handle is @BatmanUniverse. The show's Twitter handle is @BatFans Podcast. Tim's Twitter handle is @TimG311, and my Twitter handle is @DaneSaysBanana. Rate and review us on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, Tim, like we say at the end of every single show we've ever done, Tim,
we love each and every one of you with all of our bad hearts.
Alright, we'll see you guys.
Yep, see you guys next time.
Sundies under Gotham, Crime Alley is a rich boy's tomb. There's a stealing cat, 2 faces of a coin, scared